You guys know who it is. It's Wednesday, which means we bring on our very, very good friend. This is Caleb's first Wednesday with the Doc. It's quite the experience. You know, the Doc, he's our good friend.
I'm excited.
He's an opinionated man. That's why I love him. I love him. And you guys, if you don't know, if you're just tuning in for the first time, John covers the Detroit Lions, does a great job, Sports Illustrated. You can check it out, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. And he does his own podcast, which you guys can listen to more of John if you want to listen to more of John after this. Lone Wolves Podcast, Detroit Tours Podcast. Please welcome to the show. And as always, it's brought to you guys by BetUS, Mr. John Maakaron. John, how you doing, my friend?
Fellas, thank you so much. Chat, thank you. I definitely enjoy those that say, hey, I got to make sure I plan the calendar right when the Doc comes on. That makes me feel good. Thank you, guys. It's great. 9-1 football team. And what a great day. Tariq Skubal wins unanimously the Cy Young. Man, it's a good time to be a Detroit sports fan, man. The Lions are rolling. They are curb stomping NFL teams 52-6. A couple times now this season, scoring 50 points. That's kind of something to really take stock of. The NFL teams don't do this regularly. And please enjoy this run. A 9-1 Lions team, man. This is exciting as hell. This is crazy. All the hype surrounding this Detroit Lions football team.
Yeah, I mean, John, we had the luxury of being at a bar on Sunday. We'll be at another one this week. We'll get to that later. But we were in downtown New Baltimore at Naps, and we're watching the game. And we're thinking, I mean, the game's over at halftime, Doc. It was over, like, essentially late in the second quarter. Lions are 9-1. They are Super Bowl favorites officially. You saw the Chiefs lose. What do you make of the NFC right now and kind of where the Lions are? And really, I want your take on the AFC, because it seems like that's the biggest convo. The Ravens dropped one. At first it was the Ravens that will be matching up with the Lions. Chiefs, now they lost. Now the Bills have arrived. What's your take on kind of the two teams? I've seen a lot. It's Lions, Bills, Chiefs, really the three teams. Would you agree with that take?
Yeah, man. It's fun times, man. It's crazy. Just talking about the Lions, seeing all the pundits talking and raving about the Lions, all the national segments, Sports Illustrated, they started the way with the cover to start the year. And now, they've had the Lions number one in their power rankings for the last several weeks. Now this week, universally, the Lions won across the board. Savor this week's power rankings, week 12, 2024. First time the Lions ever Super Bowl favorites in the odds. Then you read the power rankings. The Lions are number one. And you just look at it. I think everybody now is starting to turn the page a little bit and starting to go, wait a minute, that December game against the Bills. Come on, NFL. Fucking flex that game right now. Let's go. I'm waiting for the announcement. I'm not leaving my phone. Flex that game to Monday Night Football. Nobody wants to see the other shit that you guys got on that schedule. It's got to be Lions and Bills at Ford Field, prime time, because it could potentially be a Super Bowl matchup. Bills just defeated the Chiefs. And look, I think when you realistically look at it, if the Bills play to their capabilities, I think it's Lions, Bills, Chiefs at this point. It's how I would power rank it. I think that the Chiefs offense is, obviously led by Mahomes, but they're kind of deficient in regards to kind of their overall play this year. And they got lucky a couple times, but I think the Bills kind of put it out there a little bit how you can defeat them. And Josh Allen limiting the turnovers. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited for Lions Bills, no doubt about it. But right now, Lions are playing the best football with the most competitive roster and a football team that's hungry and gritty to try and win this Super Bowl, man. It's great to see 9-1, 8 straight wins, man. It's really crazy. And that's right. Cheers to 9-1. Let's drink to that, because I think everybody's enjoying it with the talk of the Lions, just being around this football team, talking to Dan Campbell every day. Cheers to that. Cheers to a winning football team that not only likes to win, they like to kick your ass. That's the best way to do it. And they like to do it violently too. Cheers to the Lions. Wow.
I interrupted today's video to tell you about the sponsor, and that is BetUS. If you head over to BetUS right now, you can get the Lions. The line is at -9. It's plus money. You can knock it down to 6.5 if you'd like. I like it at 9. I think they win by at least 10 points against the Colts. You're getting plus money at -9. So I'm going to go ahead and place this bet, 50 to win 57. To me, it will happen. Lions are one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in football, and they're facing a team which I think they are significantly better than, although I do respect the Colts. You guys can go over to BetUS, get your bets in 150% on your first deposit, 125% on your second and third deposit, all by using the code YouTube150. Go over there, check it out, and big shout out to the sponsor of the video. Now, let's get back to it.
What are we drinking tonight, Doc? What is that?
This is the good stuff. Woodford Double Oaked. It's one of my favorites, smooth. And man, I was introduced to it by a columnist. And once I started drinking, I'm like, man, it hits the spot and does the job. Woodford Double Oaked. Woodford to me, plain burns my throat, but this on ice, man, hits the spot.
Woo!
Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. $50 gets the job done.
Love it, Doc. I'll try it out. Maybe I'll have it next week for the Wednesday show. I do want to ask you though, Doc. Dan Campbell. I don't remember who it was that had brought it up to him, but it was asked to him like, "Hey, how do you look at these games and even find anything to fix?" Because, like you said, they're the best team in the NFL. It feels like watching the games. It's like, where are the weaknesses? How do you go into the week and be like, "Hey, this is where we need to get better"? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Like, where do you see the Lions? Like, where can they improve? Offensively, defensively, just as a team as a whole, how can they get better? Because like they're 9-1, and it looks like there is no team that's close to them right now.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about that. Dan Campbell talked about still finding areas that this football team has to improve. And you know what he said offensively? He said, I think we can score faster. He thinks this football team can score and get into the end zone faster, and is looking at it from the perspective of, hey, let's be quick strike. Let's make plays, move the football down the field. This football team, when you look at it, can clean things up in regards to, just the stuff in regards to red zone penalties, certain situations. But, man, it's tough to find, right? You see against the Jaguars, look, I know it's funny to see your takeaways of the Lions are the greatest thing since sliced bread, 85 Bears, best thing ever. And then you read the docs and he's like, yeah, but they played the Jaguars. So there's a little bit of an outlier there. I
didn't see that comment, Doc.
The Jaguars were basically quitting on their coach. So there's a lot of things that you can say are good about the Lions, but the numbers get skewed by playing a shitty ass Jaguars team that's looking now already to vacation mode. And I look at the Lions football team and you say, okay, where were the areas that they struggled in at certain points? And you could say, okay, the defense is playing very well, keeping teams out of the end zone. You probably would say consistency on the offensive line in regards to, hey, when teams bring pressure, you got to be able to recognize that. We've seen a couple poor reps from Penei Sewell, which are a little bit jarring because we're not used to seeing it. So to me, I think the offensive line can be more consistent and in terms of handling pressure and things like that in the pass rush. But beyond that, they're rolling. Running game's good. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the connection with Jameson Williams is thriving. So to me, you keep this train rolling, and you, like Dan Campbell said, strive for perfection, even though you're not going to get there. But let's keep it rolling with Jared Goff running this offense and the defense forcing turnovers and hitting big.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, Doc, I got to start by saying this. It's a pleasure to meet you. You're an absolute legend, one of the best in the game. It's an honor. But I got to ask you about Jared Goff. Absolutely slung it on Sunday. 412, 4 touchdowns, I think. What do you think about the comments Nick Wright made saying he was a civilian and you can't win a Super Bowl with a civilian at quarterback?
Yeah. Look, there's always going to be some people that, from the outside that'll look at it and say, okay, there's a limitation that Jared Goff has that, he's not as mobile or in the face of pressure. And they still harken back to on the biggest stage, he scored 3 points. I mean, people have seen this before. They've seen Jared Goff lead a team, with the Rams and have great success. And thank you for the compliments. I really appreciate it. You're doing great work and really good addition when I saw what CT did here and brought you along. So keep it going. And remember, number one thing I tell people is just keep doing your thing and good things will happen. And clearly they saw your talents and keep it going, especially covering the Pistons, Tigers, all that fun stuff. I can't wait to see what you bring to the table. This football team, you look at it with Jared Goff, and there's always this fascination. And I am kind of the same way. When you look at quarterbacks, you kind of you romanticize about the guy like a Tom Brady, where no matter what happened, he'd just find receivers and just would will a team to win no matter what, like a Mahomes. And I've always wanted that special, hey, no matter what happens, give him C-level talent and he'll just rise above and everybody will just pick you to win the Super Bowl because of you. But look, Jared Goff really showcases the value of having a great team around him. And Ben Johnson has really set the table in regards to, hey, if you take a quarterback, give him a good offensive line, give him good weapons, have a system in place that highlights the strengths of your quarterback, there's no way you can call Jared Goff civilian. It's an insult. It's disrespectful. And it's just basically saying that he needs everything perfect around him to succeed. Now, I get that take. I can understand where somebody would say that. But at the same token, you still got to go out there and execute. You still got to have the ability to make plays and find your targets and be accurate and deliver the football and extend plays. And Jared Goff's doing a little bit better. And guys, here's where I was wrong. I thought Jared Goff peaked 2 years ago. I thought that was pretty much it. You don't typically see quarterbacks after 7-8 years in the league continue to get better. Goff did that. He did the work. He's getting better in this system, and he's making better throws. He's throwing the ball in the dirt when there's mistakes. When there's a play that just doesn't look right, he's just throwing in the dirt, move on to the next play. He's able to rebound and able to run this offense. So, look, you're never going to win style points with Jared Goff. He's never going to be viewed like a Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson, and probably won't win the MVP because it's a popularity vote. But you cannot say that Jared Goff is a civilian quarterback. He's a leader. He's a pure pocket passer, and he's excelling, and he's making the game look fun. And he's playing, you can't say that after a 158.3 passer rating. He's playing the game at the highest level that you can play, and it's fun to watch up close.
Yeah, Doc, I mean, speaking of, I guess, electric, you're mentioning Jared Goff, how well he's playing. Another two wide receivers that are playing very well. Now that J-Mo's back and you see Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams and really them starting to thrive together, both at 100 yards against the Jags. I understand it's the Jags, but just J-Mo's season in perspective and how well he's played. I've seen things trending. We talked about it earlier, them comparing him to other really good wide receivers. He's on pace for 1,000 yards. What do you make of just J-Mo this season? How kind of under the radar he's been, I guess, nationally? He's putting up great numbers, John. And what do you make of the duo now with Amon-Ra St. Brown? They're going to have 2,000-yard receivers, it looks like, at this point. How do you think those two stack up amongst some of the great wide receiver duos in the league?
Yeah, it's a beautiful mix, right? You look at it, Amon-Ra St. Brown, cerebral, great route runner, very reliable, and J-Mo, the home run threat. Look. Here's the best thing about J-Mo is that now he's getting to be, and the goal for him was to be the number 2 receiver. And you're seeing that. He's the number 2 target. He's involved in a lot of plays. And Ben Johnson just knows exactly when to pull the trigger on a great route where Jameson Williams can get the football and scamper to the end zone. So his season's been good. I mean, obviously the suspension that hit there was a little setback, but he's come back and handled business. And also, too, check out Lions on SI. As Christian did a great film review. Typically, he likes to pick his own thing and watch it. And not only are the receivers great in regards to receiving, knowing where they need to be, crisp route running, great play calling by Ben Johnson, but they're willing to block and be nasty. And Dan Campbell said it. Ben Johnson said it. And Jameson Williams told us, no block, no rock. And go check out Christian's film review. You'll see Tim Patrick, St. Brown, J-Mo blocking, and it's a wide receiving group that's gritty, that's also mixing in grittiness with their talent, and it's great to see, man. I think that they stack up very well, and it's a perfect mix. You got the guy that you can get the football to anywhere with, I think this was, 11 consecutive passes now, the new streak with Goff and St. Brown. It's like a security blanket. Goff knows that, hey, St. Brown's number 1. He's most reliable. He's the best, but Jameson Williams is emerging. And he's earning the stripes as being the number 2 right now. And it's good to see because J-Mo's confident. He's blocking. He's playing well. And he's flying into the end zone and grabbing his nuts and doing his thing and a little bit of pizzazz. Why not? Even though, the old timers will be like, hey, just kind of do your thing. And
what do you think about that, Doc?
Remember, the reason why people are saying that is half a generation grew up watching Barry just fly into the end zone and just give the football to the official. Never danced, never did his thing. And a lot of people like that. But J-Mo's different. And listen, I can understand the celebrations. I can understand all that. The grabbing your nuts thing is a little challenging when you got a nephew that's like, hey, uncle, what's that? And you're like, internet, what do I tell this kid? And luckily you guys helped me out pretty fast. And you said, hey, tell him it's the Marshawn. A lot of you guys were assholes. Were like, just tell him he's grabbing his nuts and move on. I'm like, I'm not going to tell him that. I'm going to tell him it's the Marshawn. And of course, the kid's like, yeah, he's doing these nuts in your face. And that's what my nephew likes to see. So it's great. Hey, if you can do it, you get away with it. These nuts, baby. Try and stop the Lions offense.
I love that, Dak. And another player that is about to actually over the next couple of weeks going to have a huge kind of resurgence here is Jack Campbell with the Alex Anzalone injury. How are you feeling about that? Do you have confidence in Jack Campbell? I think actually I have brought up to you a couple of weeks ago that it felt like Jack Campbell was taking that step above Alex Anzalone in play-wise and on the field, maybe not as the leader, but it seems like the next 6 to 8 weeks, it's Alex Anzalone or it's Jack Campbell's defense, green dot, all of that. And it's like his interview to kind of take over that position over the next few years. What are your thoughts on that? And how do you think Jack Campbell will attack that and do with that new role?
Yeah, it was crazy. First and foremost, when Za'Darius Smith was celebrating a sack, there was 46 dancing. I thought that was really cool to see, kind of loosening up a little bit and doing his thing, earning his stripes there, man. Jack Campbell's played pretty well this last stretch of games. And I think that, you never want to see a guy go down to injury. And, but it's interesting. Alex Anzalone and Derek Barnes, both not with the team right now. And so now it's going to test the depth of this linebackers unit because Campbell and the coaching staff has said the most comfortable they felt depth-wise was at linebacker. So you're without two key guys, and Jack Campbell is going to have to now step up again and lead, wear the green dot, and handle the business, make the calls. But he's been prepared to do this. You know what I like about Jack Campbell is he's cerebral. He's a student of the game, very much a serious member of this roster that wants to compete. And you're starting to see him a little bit loosen up and be more of willing to get on that camera and share when he gets the game ball. And it's fun to see. And now I think that this might expedite his development where he may make mistakes in coverage, may now, like I said, have to deal with what the Colts offense is going to throw at him. But I do think that more often than not, Jack Campbell is going to come out and have good games. You're starting to see his PFF grades rise. He's doing good things. And also, too, don't discount Malcolm Rodriguez, Ben Neiman as well. Will do some things. And credit to Trevor Nowaski. I think that he's earning his stripes as well and showcasing that this linebackers unit can benefit from the play of the defensive line.
Hey, SVSU, great, by the way. Go ahead.
Me and Trevor both had the same degree. There we go. Hey, fellow Cardinal.
Doc, we're getting Brodric Martin back this week. That's a big add to this already. Defense is playing pretty well. How much do you think we'll see Brodric Martin this week?
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting because Brodric's somebody that is a developmental player and is working his way into the rotation and change his body type up. I thought the article that he had where he shared that he was eating too much Jets, kind of like the rest of us, man. One of us. One of those late night, he lived next to a Jet. So he's like dialing them up, eating bad foods, but now he cleaned up his act, got into the gym and is eating a lot.
Where did he live next to?
Okay. So shout out the competition because he's the only one I will shout out. Dave Burkett did an interview with Brodric Martin and look it up. Brodric Martin, Jets, Jets. He lived next to Jets Pizza as a rookie. And guess what started happening? He was calling that place up. He ate terribly his rookie season. He highlighted that pizza. He had a horrible rookie diet, and he had to cut that out. And he got himself in order in terms of nutrition and got himself right and physically slimmed down a little bit and got himself in much better shape. And the injury is a setback, but I don't think that early on the contributions will be there. I think maybe you could say maybe 20% of defensive snaps as he works his way. The Lions tend to work players back in slowly. DJ Reader is playing very much a great brand of football right now. And you're just looking for Brodric Martin to be consistent, give him a spell when you maybe have a clear running down and have an opportunity to get him. But unfortunately for him, he's inconsistent, and part of the reason why he's not playing is at practice, kind of the situation is that, he's got to work on his fundamentals, footwork, hand placement, making sure that, you handle stunts in practice and handle the things you got to do. And listen, it's not easy to play defensive line. You got to battle and grind, and you got to compete against one of the best offensive lines in in football. But guess what? Last week, he won Scout Team Player of the Week. So he's coming on in practice. And if he has another good week of practice, with each passing week, you would expect him to get more opportunities. And that can just help, because if DJ Reader can get a spell down the line here, that last month of the season, as you start to maybe rest and play less some of your starters, you might have Brodric Martin develop and handle business. But for Martin, it's just one of those deals where he's got to keep showing consistency to get out there and play. But it's good that he's back. I had asked Dan Campbell yesterday or Monday. I'd asked him, hey, what's the status? Are you going to pretty much activate him? And Dan pretty much said, yeah, he hopes to get him on the roster to continue the development. And good for him that he'll get to battle the best offensive line in the NFL and continue to develop.
So do you think his expectation kind of as a player is to be the run stuffing nose tackle like DJ Reader is? Or do you think since he dropped some weight, do you think they're going to ask him to rush the passer as well, kind of like Lee McNeil?
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail right on the head. I think that when you look at his physical presence, the Lions are stout against the run, and you realize too that, you want to also be able to help open things up for an Lee McNeil, take some attention, handle sometimes 2 blocks, and be able to continue to be forceful. So if he can do those things, then I think that you'll see him develop. But next year will be big for him. And I do think that he's got potential. The Lions coaching, and here's the thing too, that's a blessing. Coach Terrell Williams just knows how to develop these guys. And you start to see how Lee McNeil has come on. You start to see a little bit better play from James Houston. And you recognize, okay, with Coach Terrell Williams, you now have an opportunity, as long as he stays healthy and continues to develop and practice, be consistent. I think this guy will have an opportunity continuing to learn from DJ Reader and have an opportunity to succeed and make plays down the road.
And Doc, we got to see Za'Darius in his debut. He picked up his first sack in Ford Field. The place was electric. Just your thoughts on his performance, and how does he kind of build on that moving forward?
Hell of a celebration too, Doc.
Yeah, hit the trump.
Hell of a celebration. And here's the fun part. I saw the debates. I saw what people were discussing, and I said, okay, there's a debate. I can see where people have an agenda as to want to maybe look at it. Was it a political thing? What was it? So I said, all right, let me go to and find Malcolm Rodriguez today and Za'Darius Smith and have a conversation. But today it was just odd. It was one of those locker room sessions where everybody's showering and not a lot of people were in there. But luckily, right at the end, it just was timed off where Jared Goff talks, then Amon-Ra talks, and I'm waiting for Malcolm to come out, and he doesn't come to the locker room till very late in the session. But luckily, I got a chance to talk to him. I said, hey, you're the guy I'm looking for. That was Caddyshack, right? And he's like, yeah, me and Za'Darius planned it. I said, good. I said, okay, thank you. And we had the idea pitched and ready to go. So it was themed and an homage to Caddyshack. So for old timers like myself, you knew that's what it was. But other people, younger, wanted to make it something different, which it was not. And some people posted it that's what it was. But it was not. So I understand, never let facts get in the way of a good story. But as I get older, I say, okay, if there's a question mark that people have, might as well answer it. And you guys liked it. You read it. I'm thankful you guys wanted to know that. I kind of was asked, I did. And typically, to share a little inside, I am the complete editor of that site in terms of Lions on SI. All the ideas are from me. Period. The headlines, what's the topic, what's the ideas. But I said to Christian, I said, is this topic worth it? Like, I kind of was questioning myself, like, do people care what the actual celebration was? Christian's like, yeah, it seems interesting. I said, all right. So we ran with it. And Za'Darius told me the same thing. He's like, yeah, it was Caddyshack. And I said, but people are debating it. And Za'Darius said, fans are going to debate. That's what fans do. But he looked at and some people are still questioning me, saying, no, that's not, they're just lying. No, they looked me right in the eye and told me it's Caddyshack. We planned it that day to do it. And for Za'Darius Smith, he got off all the celebrations all at once. Feed them out and then doing the Caddyshack. To be honest, credit, that's a 8.5 celebration. I thought it was great, unique. And also when you can get people talking about it and maybe resemble something else, smart on him. I thought he had a decent debut, helped out, did his thing. But, when you only have less than 50 defensive plays, there wasn't like an opportunity to rack up the sacks, and the Jaguars offense was atrocious. So luckily for Za'Darius, he comes out of that game healthy. He's in the mix, and I think that he understood. I think the best part of that game, you guys saw it, right? He enters in with the She jersey, the swagger. He's got something. When he walks by, he carries himself head held high, and he got a swagger about him. He's got that like big star feel. I'm like, man, when he stands tall, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, damn, he's definitely a lot taller than I am. But thankfully, he's been super nice and super friendly to the reporters there so far. So Za'Darius Smith, welcome to the Detroit Lions. Let's go. Let's get the ring for a veteran and get this defensive line rolling against Anthony Richardson, because there's some more food to be taken from a young rookie quarterback. I'm drinking Woodford Reserve.
What? Yeah, for the people that were asking, I got to ask you, Doc. We talked about it earlier. Colts gave up the 4th most rushing yards, and they give up a crap ton of receptions to running backs. This to me seems like a matchup problem for the Colts, at least offense on defense. Now, I'm sure someone will ask you about Anthony Richardson, but your thoughts on just could this be? They're favored by what, 7? I've seen some sports books 9. Could this be another ugly one, Doc? What's your feeling on this game early on?
Yeah, man, it's great. And like I said in the chat too, he did the Triple H entrance to Za'Darius Smith. The defense got called upon, and they played well. Man, yeah, I think the Lions, I don't know if it's gonna be a blowout. I think the Colts led by Gus Bradley there, and Steichen are gonna put together a nice game plan. You still got to be concerned about, Taylor and Pierce, but no, I don't think that I would give the Colts a 0.0001% chance of being within a touchdown of this game. But I think that, the Lions, they're battling themselves, and that's a great thing. They treated the Texans game like a loss, and they whooped on the Jaguars. Now it's going to be a little different, but here's the best part. Detroit, get out there. It's only a 5-hour drive, hour and 15-minute flight. Get to Indy. It's a nice place, fun times. And I think it's going to be another Detroit Lions party in Indianapolis. And I think the Lions schedule has put them in a position to be fresher, to play well. And when you just look at it, here's the best part of looking at the stats. I think the Colts give up on average 145 yards on the ground. Like, if you got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, start them, no doubt about it, and put them in your fantasy league. And I think the Lions will come back 10-1. And for Super Bowl, no, I had the Lions 14, I think 13, 14 wins and a Super Bowl loss. So, maybe, as the games get, as the second half of the season progresses, I can let my guard down and listen. I mean, you guys know I got PTSD, and I'm definitely, if you look at it psychologically, I'm scared to put my faith in the Detroit Lions, because that's when, remember, the highest of highs was the first half. Okay. Everybody was sitting there going, holy shit, this Lions team's going to the Super Bowl. Holy shit, let's plan it. Let's go. And then the lowest of the lows when they lost. Like, it took me, a trained reporter that's not supposed to be like that, took me 2 weeks to get over it. Like, thinking about, like, man, they just gave away this game. They were that close. So you kind of have to develop, for me, just me, some scar tissue where you kind of build a wall and be like, okay, you tell yourself, have low expectations so you don't get hurt. And if they win the Super Bowl, for me, I will have the ultimate shock and joy and passion for seeing the team that's in Detroit win it, because I think that's kind of how it suits me. Like, okay, don't have that expectation. And then when you see it, you get that pure joy and elation. And that's how I'm going to treat it. But, maybe the best way will be you guys, like Booner, who said all the way through that they're going to win it. But either way, however you get to that road, if the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl, we will all be raising our glasses, toasting the Lions, and celebrating for months on end. And however you were, if you were the Lions fan that said, hey, I believe they're going to win every single game, or you're a little bit more of a skeptic like me, it doesn't matter. We're all fans in the end, and the celebration, the smile will be just as big. The glasses will be poured just as tall, and the gear will be bought by just about everybody too. So I really do hope this team can cash it in. I think we're all ready for it, and I think everybody's now seeing a football team that can win a Super Bowl, and everybody's kind of bracing themselves, and the belief is now getting stronger. You know what? Why does the Super Bowl even have to be competitive? Go out there and whoop the other team's ass, whoop the AFC team's ass, and let's have a third and fourth quarter party for all of Detroit. And I just hope this is the year, because it might be tougher if the coordinators leave. But, man, it's getting closer, guys. The hunger's growing, and everybody's seeing it, and starts another week where this – guys, 9-1 before Thanksgiving. It's guaranteed for another winning season. Maybe all the playoff games at Ford Field. All the great things being said, it truly is the best time to be a Lions fan. Everybody deserves it. And here's the best part too. I don't know if you guys are doing it, but I'm doing it. When teams like the Jets are crashing and burning, I'm laughing my effing ass off, and I'm loving it. When the Bears miss a field goal to lose, I'm loving it. I'm hopping on NFC North podcast and being like, ha ha, look at the shit you guys are going through, because we all know what that shit was like.
Yeah.
And man, it's good to sit on the mountaintop to gloat a little bit. Lions are 9-1, the talk of the NFL, and the best team right now on the 20th of November. This Lions team is the best, and it's just an amazing thing to see and be a part of every single week. My ears were ringing when I got home from work at the stadium on Sunday. That's how loud it was, and that's how crazy these Lions fans are.
Well, Doc, I would like to officially congratulate you and welcome you to the Calm Down crowd and the Booner Path. It is an honor to have you a part of all of this. Finally, even if you're not 100% bought in yet, it's nice to have at least 1 foot in.
Hey, congrats, Doc. Congrats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheers on that, Doc. Take a drink to that one. Welcome to the Booner Path. I do want to ask, I don't know if this is too early, Doc, to bring this up, or if you've heard conversations about it. I've seen it on social media a lot, and obviously as coaches start to get fired, Doug Peterson probably soon. We've seen the Jets. We're starting to see jobs open up. The Mike McCarthy conversation. What have you heard, or have you heard anything in the building with beat writers or anything like that with the whole AG and Ben Johnson thing? Because we've had this conversation on our show a couple times over the last few weeks, to where it feels inevitable for AG now to get a head coaching job, and obviously Ben Johnson. That one's kind of up in the air, because you just never know what he will do, because for 2 straight years he's decided to come back instead of taking a head coaching job. First of all, just want to know your thoughts on the situation for both of them, and if you think they both leave. And then second of all, just if you've heard any conversations with them, if they've mentioned it, if beat writers or reporters have mentioned it, and where everything stands with those 2 coaches.
Interesting timing of the question that you asked there. You're assuming that when I speak to the beat writers, they're just going to be honest with me and friendly with me and be all nice.
You're a great guy, Doc. I would hope they are honest with you.
They are. They're nice guys.
Okay.
But
good.
Typically, I'm a all business guy there. I talk about Michigan State a little bit to the guys, and then I just talk shit to them. I'll tell them, hey, get your shit on deadline, or I'll make fun of some of the stuff that they write about. So I don't seek information from them because, look, in some way, I don't ask them, because I look at it like, if they gather that information and they get it and they want to report it, let them report it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's kind of like one of those deals where, you maybe ask yourself, are they going to give information freely to the competition? Because there is, technically a competition. Everybody's friendly, everybody's respectful, but it's a healthy competition, among the writers, because information is key and stuff like that. But, we all, reasonably read each other's stuff and pay attention to each other's podcasts for nuggets of information and stuff like that. But for me personally, I'm more business oriented. I just want to go ask the questions, and when the media sessions are done, I get out the door and get back to my office to start typing. I don't hang around. I don't really talk too much to them, other than some, kind of the stuff you would assume I'd say to them, like shit talking here and there and joking around. But here's what I could say is the buzz around the coaching staff. If the Lions win the Super Bowl, they're both gone. Clearly, AG and Ben Johnson will be coveted. Teams around the NFL know, okay, Dan Campbell has taught these guys. Dan Campbell has openly said he has in-game game management meetings to teach these guys strategy and talk. AG and Ben Johnson are part of a winning organization that struggled, and they have what you need at first to be able to walk in the door to be an NFL coach. You got to have the ability to relate to players. And for Ben Johnson, his calling card is he took Jared Goff and spent a summer with him saying, what did you like about what you did with the Rams? And built an offense around him. Didn't have to do that. He could have said, hey, you run this offense and you just do what I tell you, like a lot of other teams do. Nope, not Ben Johnson. AG, at the same token, has earned the respect. I would think that the Saints are the perfect landing spot for AG. Culture, he knows the system. He knows everything that goes on there. And I think that being a former DB coach there will allow him. Guys, unfortunately, there is a team in the AFC that starts to fit the criteria of what Ben Johnson would like. All right? And I hate to say it, but the Cincinnati Bengals are a perfect spot for Ben Johnson to take his first job. Patient owners. The team is losing. Joe Burrow, franchise quarterback, playing out of his mind. Just needs a little bit of that winning edge. You bring back Jamar Chase on a fat contract. You got your number one. T. Higgins, maybe you can do some things with. And you have a nice young running back there that's developing. And you recognize, all right, you got the best sack artist in the NFL in Trey Hendrickson. It's a good starting point. So if you want Ben Johnson to stay, you better start praying that these Bengals start winning, because that's the spot. I mean, if you're Ben Johnson, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson, that's a trio that you can go start your NFL career with. Ben Johnson will not be the coach of the Jets. He would be crazy to go there. Woody Johnson is a complete moron and is literally the laughingstock of the NFL. For what he's pulled with that organization is wild to see and fun to laugh at. But for Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, I think you're watching the final stretch of games that they're going to be here, because if the Bengals call with an offer, you got to take it. It's Joe Burrow and it's Jamar Chase. And I think that's the spot. So it'll be fun to talk and see, does Ben Johnson come back if the Lions don't win the Super Bowl? But if the Lions win the Super Bowl, changes to the coaching staff will happen.
Yeah, and Doc, back to the Colts this weekend. You brought him up already, Anthony Richardson. While he hasn't been great throwing the balls, we know that he can use his legs and extend the play. How do the Lions contain a guy like that, especially, the defensive line kind of getting some reinforcements back, kind of getting healthier? How do they contain a guy like Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, look, I think that Anthony's really interesting in that he is a physical back. You do got to obviously fundamentally tackle and bring him down. But I don't think his speed is so to the point where his speed outmatches what the Lions can bring to the table. So set your edges, make sure you maintain, contain, and make sure that I think that Za'Darius Smith and the Lions defensive ends will do some things. Josh Pascal has emerged. And the Lions, their defense is really stout against the run. So the way in which you always do, you want to make sure your rush lanes are sound, good integrity. You don't want him out there scrambling too much. And for Anthony Richardson, I just think that there's that one or two turnovers that are just certainly coming. Maybe this is the game that Terry and Arnold gets that first interception. We keep saying it weekly, but I think some turnovers are there. I just think that Richardson is going to have a tough time with the Lions defense. They're going to try and really do some things to confuse them and do some things to pressure him in a way that will allow him to maybe believe that there's some lanes available that aren't. And maybe Kirby Joseph, I say Kirby Joseph gets one and Terry and Arnold gets one this game. 2 turnovers and the Lions will win.
I like it.
Pretty comfortably, 28-13, 28-17 in that neighborhood. They handle business and they're able to leave Indy with the win. But Richardson's a unique case, and they probably does deserve to play the rest of the year to see what you got. I think benching him probably was the mistake at that point that they did it. But it's unfortunate because looking back, Joe Flacco wasn't any better. He actually was really worse with the interceptions. So you just let Anthony Richardson develop. He's raw. He's raw. That's scouts, the crazy part of this business is when I started working with the site 6 years ago, I worked with the former NFL scout, and he had some big hits and big misses with his evaluations. But some of the stuff he said, he was not on board with Trey Lance. He called Trey Lance it was fun. He was such a nice guy to talk to, because he would tell me the stuff that sounded smart scouting wise, but he just kept repeating it over and over. And he kept just like a one-trick pony kind of thing. And he'd just be like, Trey Lance is a bust. And he said it like 50,000 times. I said, my man, I got it. Trey Lance is a bust. But your shtick is to just go everywhere and say that. I said, I got it. You keep saying it. I get it. But, so we had some creative differences, but he's such a nice individual. I root for him to have success. He told me all about the rawness of Anthony Richardson, and the fact he doesn't got enough experience, that he's just, one of these quarterbacks that still needs a lot of time and things like that. So I believed him, and it's exactly what's happened. He sees it from that perspective. And go look him up. I'll share his name. First Round Mock on Twitter. His name is Daniel Kelly. One of the most unique individuals you'll see, in that when he believes something, he's willing to say it a million times. He worked on our site, and we went our separate ways, but I root for him a lot. He's a unique individual, hungry in that kind of way, but from a scouting perspective. Daniel Kelly, First Round Mock on Twitter. Give him a follow. I've shouted out his stuff. He's got at least some unique, but he has a big miss with the Lions. I'm not going to share it because we published it, but big hits, big misses. That's a scouting. That's the scouting world. Big hits, big misses.
I want to bring it back to the offense here really quick. You talk about Ben Johnson. First off, I'll say if I see him on another sideline next year, I'm going to be heartbroken. I get it. It's a realistic thing that it could happen. Probably will happen if they win a Super Bowl. I'm going to be heartbroken. But looking at this offense this year, from week 4 on, they've averaged 39 points per game, which is absurd. I'm 22 years old. I've been watching football for about 15 years. Doc, am I crazy to say this is one of the best offenses of all time?
Yeah, it's fun to watch, right? Yeah, it's got everything that you would like, right? 2 good running backs. I mean, today it was just like it's fun to be in there when Dan Campbell gets asked some of the questions about the players. He literally sat up there and was like, David Montgomery reminds me of Walter Payton and Earl Campbell. And you're like, these are some of the greats of the game. And you're like, wow. And you just kind of see that historical bridge that Dan Campbell brings from his time working with Parcells and Sean Payton and now running the Lions. It's unbelievable. First of all, let's credit Dan Campbell. Working with Sean Payton, he learned exactly about offensive philosophy, and he blended it with what the genius that is Ben Campbell and his play calling and his memory and his call sheet. So it's a combination, and they work great together. It can be one of these great unions of all time in regards to offensive football. But just look at it; it's just beautiful to watch. To look at it from the perspective of how does great offense work? Well, 1, you build an offensive line. 2, you get 2 distinct running backs that are supremely all-pro talented that can do some things and want to challenge each other. Amazing. David Montgomery, he's pissed, like on a competitive level, that Jahmyr Gibbs is there. But at the same token, it's not to the degree that you're going to treat each other poorly. They're brothers. But every time that David Montgomery's out there, he's running angry. And every time Jahmyr Gibbs is out there, he's running fast. And you got 2 running backs that literally remind everybody of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. Amazing. Sonic and Knuckles running down people's throat. Then you get the reliable receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's jaded and just wants to show everybody that how in the hell was I a 4th-round pick? It's perfect. Thank you, God, he was a 4th-round pick, because it lit a fire under him to every single day feel disrespected to try and get better. And then you got the home run threat in Jamison Williams, the kind of typical wide receiver like a Michael Irvin, where you're like, all right, there's a little bit of that spice in the personality, grabbing his crotch, doing the stuff off the field that's a little unique and attention grabbing. It's just an offense that's clicking on all cylinders. And here's the craziest part. You have literally an all-world tight end that's not being utilized. Injured, up and down, can't get the football because others are eating too. Imagine if this offense also can feature Sam Laporta a little bit more. My goodness, when he develops, that's why I think everybody now, maybe we start talking dynasty. Like, I know everybody jokes around when we say sustained success.
Yeah.
Maybe
now you're talking my language.
Maybe we're setting
Yes,
our
sir.
sights too low. Maybe this football team can be like the Cowboys. 2, 3 Super Bowls. Why not? But yes, I think this offense, might dip a little bit at the end because they might rest players down the stretch. But who's to say they can't score 38 points and be the best scoring offense in the world ever of all time? It's great to watch. It's fun to watch. And man, it's fun to see, because if you're going to charge people $300, might as well score a shit ton of points.
Yeah, I mean, that last Doc, you're spot on with the last point. Let me get your score prediction for this for this Sunday. What do you think, Doc? How's it gonna go?
How's it gonna go? Lions are going to run the football down the throats of the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson, a lot of turnovers. I think the Lions will easily win this game, 34-13, 34-17, in that range. They'll make it, in a situation in which I think Jared Goff continues his stellar play. The one thing that maybe you could say could be a concern is, the defense. How does Jack Campbell handle leading the defense? Maybe more points here and there, but I don't see any concern at all about losing this football game. And plus, I think it's going to be another home game. I think that crowd for the Colts is going to sell out and give all the tickets to the Lions fans. And it's going to be a fun afternoon. And hopefully, I love it when games are out of hand by halftime. I actually got to watch football. It was crazy. I got to sit there. My game story was pretty much wrapped up. Just had to change the score. But my game story was done by the beginning of the third quarter. I got to watch the fourth quarter, have a good time with it, and relax a little bit. Those are the best kind of games. So I'm hoping it's a sound, 10 to 17 point victory.
There you go. Hey, Doc, we love you. We appreciate you. Hey, guys, please go check out the Doc stuff. He's absolutely crushing it. You know what? To us, Doc, you are the best in the city. I don't give a shit what anyone says. All right. Put some respect on Doc's name. All right. He's killing it. Check the numbers. All right. Check the numbers. They'll do the talking, Doc. All right. They'll do the talking. Don't you worry. But we'll get you on next.
Make sure to please visit Lions on SI. Watch the videos. Check out the podcast. And look, the one thing that I think everybody knows, whether you agree or disagree, I think I'm the most accessible media member that there is. That if you have something to say, I will answer it. If I may not give you the response you want, or I may have a little snark to it, but if you have a question, truly, from the bottom of my heart, message at Detroit Podcast, message these guys. I'm just like every one of you in the chat, in this conversation. I just had a competitive thing that I needed to get off my chest to see if I could do it, and I got to reach that success. But please, I'm no different than anybody else, other than my competitiveness is utterly crazy that I'm not happy professionally with all the success I'm having. I want more than what I got already. And that's the fun part, is that if you message me, I hope you truly believe that you're talking to John Maakaron, the Lions fan that made good on a media career. Cheers, boys. 9-1, 10-1 on the way. I can't go next week. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, check out John's coach.
Yes,
John, we'll talk to you soon.
He's gone.
And as always,
who's the magician? Houdini, the man just poof.
Bet US. Shout out to them. He does that. He just disappears he's just like a myth. You know what I mean? Like he's it's like a spirit. You see him and then he just poof.
Now you see him, now you don't. He's gone.
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested, or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, FisherCTSports.com.